Top 10 Most Dangerous Weapons in the World 2022. Allow us to investigate 10 of the world's most hazardous and lethal weapons that have been made by humanity. It won't astonish you that these weapons are 20th century developments, however of some the lineage can be followed back millennia. We will get going with 3 weapons that can be utilized by a solitary warrior prior to moving over the huge stuff. Number 10. RPG-rocket-propelled grenade. With the RPG you can fire hostile-to-tank rockets from the shoulder. In light of the Nazi Germany's Panzerfaust, it was formed into dreaded enemy of tank weapon. A warrior with restricted preparing and a modest and straightforward rocket-impelled explosive can obliterate an extravagant tank. It was generally utilized against the Americans in the Vietnam battle by the Viet Cong and individuals military. At the point when the Soviet armed force attacked Afghanistan, they confronted the Mujahideen, who immediately turned out to be extremely capable in the utilization of it against tanks and military vehicles. In the 1950s, the American Armed Force fostered their variant of the RPG, which became known as the LAW, lightweight anti-tank weapon. RPGs stay the hazard of reinforced vehicles and tanks since their beginning. Number 9. DSR-50. The 50 calories sniper rifle. The DSR-50 is manual action expert sharpshooter rifle loaded to shoot the enormous 50 calories BMG round. It depends on the DSR-1, a specific marksman rifle for police sharpshooters. The DSR-50 has a coordinated water-driven drawback damping framework in the buttstock and a fundamental gag brake which lessens the apparent gag impact. Intended to poke holes in, softly, shielded military vehicles, we'll leave what happens when you shoot an individual to your creative mind. Number 8. Flamethrower. What is a flamethrower? A flamethrower is classed as a combustible gadget that is explicitly intended to extend fire in a stream that is long and controllable. Flamethrowers were utilized first by Old Greeks, as far back as the 1st century promotion. In additional advanced times, flamethrowers were used all through World War I, by the Germans, and all the more normally utilized in World War II. Military purposes for flamethrowers were mostly revolved around going after strongholds, dugouts, and so on. Non-military personnel utilizes for flamethrowers will generally be more horticultural in nature. They are helpful for clearing fields, for instance. Flamethrowers come in many structures. Convenient ones will generally be 2-section gadgets, a knapsack for the fuel and a cylinder for the result. They can likewise be vehicle-mounted for simple use. Easy to work and keep up with, you absolutely don't have any desire to be forced to bear them, making them number 8 on our rundown. Number 7. Schwerer Gustav. Schwerer Gustav? This was the name given to a German 80 cm rail-route firearm, a tremendous piece of mounted guns intended to be fired from a rail line cart. It was created in the last part of the 1930s by Krupp of Essen as cannons for the unequivocal motivation behind obliterating the fundamental strongholds of the French Maginot Line during an attack. At that point, these were the most grounded strongholds in presence. Gustav could shoot shells weighing 7 tons to a distance 47 kilometers. When completely gathered, the Schwerer Gustav weighed almost 1,350 tons. The Germans planned this piece of gunnery to get ready for the Clash of France. The greatest firearm of World War II was not prepared to do fight when the fight started. Be that as it may, it didn't exactly make any difference on the grounds that the Wehrmacht's raid animosity through Belgium quickly defeated and secluded the Maginot Line's static guards, constraining them to give up with next to no significant misfortunes and making the annihilation of the fortresses unjustified. Number 6. Nimitzclass aircraft carrier. U.S. Nimitzclass. At more than 1,000 feet, the Nimitzclass plane-carrying warships are the world's greatest warships. costing around $4.5 billion every. They are likewise the most costly. The 100,000-ton transporters can hold up to 90 airplanes and are fitted with hostile-to-airplane firearms and rockets. They are supposed to serve for a considerable length of time. Be that as it may, the U.S. is as of now fostering its replacement in the Gerald R. Portage class, which will be much greater and is supposed to cost around $12 billion. Right now, there are 10 Nimitzclass plane-carrying warships in help with the U.S. naval force. The lead boat of the class is named after the Second Great War U.S. Pacific Armada Commandant Armada Naval Commander Chester W. Nimitz, the U.S. Naval Force's last Armada naval commander. Number 5. Chimera Virus. In old folklore, a figment is a creature shaped from parts of various creatures, similar to a hippogriff or a griffin, which suitably portrays this infection. A figment infection is made by joining the DNA of at least 2 other infections. In the 1980s, the Soviets were trying different things with them, utilizing the hereditary material from other infections and infusing them into a smallpox, or another, infection, subsequently creating a delusion. This cycle guarantees the new infection can hold the smallpox's harmfulness and appearance under a magnifying instrument while simultaneously spreading a totally unique infection is capable. This hereditary designing advancement permits viral specialists to avoid known medicines and immunizations, making them even more destructive. Number 4. Russia's aviation thermobaric bomb of increased power. All that is alive merely evaporates, is the quote Russian Deputy Chief of Russian General Staff Alexander Rukshin shared when asked about their newly developed bomb. In 2007, the Russians successfully tested and released their aviation thermobaric bomb of increased power, quickly nicknamed the father of all bombs, FOAB. The FOB is reportedly 4x more powerful than the U.S. military's biggest non-nuclear bomb. The GBU-43/B massive ordnance air bomb, which is officially designated with the acronym MOAB and known popularly as the mother of all bombs. This makes the Russian gadget formally the most impressive ordinary non-atomic weapon on the planet. The FOB replaces a few more modest atomic bombs in the Russian weapons store. It yields a lightness 44 tons of dynamite while simply utilizing just 7 tons of another high-touchy. Number 3. ICBM. The Intercontinental Long-Range Rocket, ICBM, is a long-range rocket that is directed to the objective. It can go something like 3,400 miles and was constructed essentially for shipping atomic weapons. ICBMs have the ability of being sent off from planes, submarines, rocket storehouses, and vehicles. They turned into an essential piece of the frantic regulation on the grounds that these weapons permitted the adaptability that empowered the country to strike back and obliterate the adversary. It essentially ensured a second strike on the foe. With the progressing of innovation, it worked out as expected that an ICBM could be utilized to send off a few atomic warheads immediately in view of the MIRV. Number 2. MIRV. The MIRV, which is a different freely targetable re-emergence vehicle, is a payload for long-range rockets that contains numerous warheads. Every warhead has the capacity of being meant to hit one of many targets. The outdated warheads could move a solitary atomic bomb on a solitary rocket and go for the gold objective. The subsequent stage was the different re-emergence vehicle, MRV, rocket that could convey various warheads that were completely scattered, however not exclusively pointed, which brought about an impact like a shotgun. The MIRV tackled that issue. All warheads were presently targetable. Number 1. Zarbomba. Each part of the expression, weapons of mass obliteration, applies to the Zarbomba. The weapon was the Soviet Association's counter to the U.S. atomic program. A monstrous gadget, intended to obliterate everything, that is the very thing the bomb was. Only one was at any point exploded, and that was sufficient. Zarbomba stays the most remarkable gadget at any point exploded by humankind. To look at, the most impressive gadget the US at any point made was the B-41. It was additionally the main three-stage atomic gadget the US made. The B-41 had a greatest yield of 25 megatons dynamite, while the Zarbomba had a most extreme yield of 100 megatons of dynamite. Obviously, the most remarkable atomic bomb at any point exploded had an enormous mushroom cloud. The mushroom cloud is assessed to have gone as high as 40 miles overhead, which is multiple times as tall as Mount Everest. At this level, the cloud went through the stratosphere as well as the mesosphere. The bomb likewise released a monstrous fireball to go with the mushroom cloud. When exploded, the fireball almost arrived at the level at which the bomb was dropped and was noticeable in excess of 600 miles from the site. The bomb was basically worked to flex the Soviet Association's tactical strength. Along these lines, the bomb was tremendous to the point that it was fundamentally excessively colossal. What's the significance here? It implies that it wasn't viable for wartime use. For one's purposes, moving the bomb around was essentially excessively muddled. It didn't actually truly fit on the stream that dropped it from the sky. That plane must be vigorously changed for the bomb. Second, the group on the plane just had a half opportunity at endurance. This comes even after the bomb was all downsized from its unique 100 megaton size.